I think we do. Yeah. I got the camera.
That's green.
Hey everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Maureen Walsh and I'm on the board, and this is another one of our community information sessions. We've been trying to hold these quarterly, and this is one based on the board feels strongly that when we see a lot of questions and we want to help out the community, that's kind of how we come up with topics. And the topic today is we're going to have both John Brown, who owns the spa, not the spa, owns spa. I guess my head's somewhere else, maybe. And he's going to go ahead and give some introductions and also explain the services. And then we've got Carroll County, we've got Officer Claypool and Captain Price here. So they're going to go ahead and present kind of their roles, their duties, and then also explain how we work together, including the POA office. So after they give their presentations and go through a couple of demonstrations or explanations, then we'll go ahead and kind of have some questions. Again, these are meant to be a little bit more informal, so we encourage you to ask questions, because this is why we're doing this, to make sure we kind of address some, questions we've seen on Facebook or just things that are in the back of your mind. And as you kind of hear how things work, we just want things to run a little more smoother in the community. And again, we thank you all for coming, and thank you for the community patrol team for coming. That they also support these groups. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good to be here. Just a quick introduction. I'm Deputy Mike Claypool with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. This is Captain Keith Price, the Captain Patrol Operations with the whole entire Sheriff's Office, and a much more. Jack of all trades over there. We want to thank everybody for letting us come out here. We just had a few things, be short and sweet, and open up to any questions you guys have. One thing, also just want you all to let you know that not only am I a deputy with the Sheriff's Office, I'm also a resident in here. So all these concerns and all these questions and things that, all the stuff that happens within the gate also concerns me and my family, raising my children in here as well. My wife and I, we live in here too. So I take it also personally. A little bit about myself. I have just, about 24 years law enforcement experience, EMS. I worked with other agencies down in Florida. Most of my law enforcement career down in Florida, large agencies. So I'm up here, Carroll County, a little bit smaller and slower pace that I'm used to, but I like it. So it's a nice way to transition into the ultimate goal of retirement. Little overview of the Sheriff's Office. Can't say it enough. One of our best bosses I actually work for, Sheriff Terry Langley. He's very supportive of what we do, supportive of all the community events, and that speaks volumes. And obviously, that because he's been our sheriff for 40 plus years now. Sure. Yeah, sheriff for 44 years, and 4 more to go. Again, a little about the Sheriff's Office. So we're about 195 employees. About 105 of those are sworn capacity. The others are support staff and also certified jail officers. We do a lot. We're a full service law enforcement agency. Constitutionally, in the state of Georgia, every county sheriff is the highest law enforcement official in the county. And by constitutional law in the state of Georgia, they have to offer at least 2 services. That's courtroom protection and jail services. We also provide the third element of it, which is full service law enforcement. So it's a regular patrol. You have some counties like Cobb County, they have Cobb County Police. Because they have the police, they established a police department to control the law enforcement side of things. We do it all. A little bit about our county here. Well, back to the sheriff's office. We also have a full spectrum of different specialties and divisions. Not only do we perform patrol on the street, we also do aspects like courtroom protection. We also do school resource officers duties. We also do what am I missing here? That's right, the jail. Those are our main duties. But we also have all the ancillary support divisions that we have from the criminal investigation division with multiple different avenues within that: traffic, canine, interstate interdiction, drug, undercover narcotics. We have detachments with the U.S. Secret Service, detachments with the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. So we work hand in hand with not only our local agencies, but also our federal agencies. Part of Carroll County, so Carroll County is a big county, 500 plus square miles. We patrol every single square mile of Carroll County. We have jurisdiction throughout the entire county. We do work hand in hand with all the different support agencies within our county and also the city municipalities. We don't go in there and say, hey, look, we're the sheriff's office, we're going to do this. If they ask us for help, we go in and help them, and vice versa. We work very good with them throughout the county throughout the year. One of the things that we do, we protect life, property, while upholding all federal, state, local laws and ordinances. And that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight, because we want to make sure that that's important and that's understood by everybody in Fairfield, because that includes Fairfield Plantation. One of the biggest things that was brought to our attention and my attention was from the PLA residents, speaking with them personally, but also on a professional level with going, coming to calls or whatnot, is that there's kind of a disconnect between residents in Fairfield and the understanding when to call the sheriff's office or to call 911. But there's also on the sheriff's office side where there's been this over the years kind of a disconnect where the deputies feel that Fairfield's its own entity. They have the POA, they have SPA, and they have all these other things inside there. So it was kind of like there's two forces opposing each other. That's why I'm here today. That's why we're here today, to go ahead and tell you guys, answer any questions, how we all work together collectively, and when to get law enforcement involved for any type of law enforcement matters. One of those things is we're going to be doing, we're picking up patrol in here, and I'm going to turn it over to Captain Price, who's going to go over with some stats and some other things and some initiatives that we're going to be doing in terms of more of a presence for us within the gates.
I appreciate it. Again, my name's Captain Keith Price. I'm captain over Uniform Division in Carroll County Sheriff's Office. So just to kind of give you a little background about me, I've been with the Sheriff's Office going on 34 years. I've done a little bit of everything with the Sheriff's Office, working in the jail, working on patrol, working court services, coming up through the ranks, and I'm captain currently over Uniform Division, which includes anything in the uniform, basically. So, people that under me, I mean, the patrol division come up here through Fairfield quite a bit. One thing that was brought up to me is that some of the concerns of Fairfield citizens is that we weren't getting up here quite enough. So about 3 weeks ago, I actually told them, I said, well, listen here. I said, one thing I do want to do is I want a record of when y'all are actually patrolling up in here. So we did that, and I pulled the stats last week, and within the last 3 weeks, we've been up here about 28 to 30 times through Fairfield, and it goes through different neighborhoods. It's at least once a day or more. Like I said, it goes, the officers come up here as they can. Once again, reflecting on what Deputy Claypool covered a little bit ago, Carroll County covers 505 square miles. With that being said, the Sheriff's Office, we patrol that with 9 officers per shift during the daytime, 10 officers at night. Out of those officers, 2 of those officers are my sergeant, my corporal, and one of them transport officer. Usually is on the road going to a different agency, picking up somebody or doing a mental commitment transport or something of that nature. So that being said, I mean, we also answer a myriad of calls, not just in Fairfield, but all unincorporated areas of Carroll County. We answer calls in. And just kind of give you an idea of how much we actually do. Last year, my stats actually showed we drove over almost a million miles, 977,000 miles between my 4 shifts. And this is just my 4 shifts. This is not my court services, my SROs or anything of that nature. We answered 43,788 calls for service last year. So that includes Fairfield. It also includes every unincorporated area of Carroll County. And any kind of backup call if we help out another agency or anything of that nature. So, you know, the officers we have, we are stretched a little thin, but we try to do the best we can by getting in here. And that's kind of where SPA comes in play with us a little bit. They are a great help to us up here in Fairfield. They're our eyes and ears one up here. We can maintain contact with them up until tonight. They have maintained contact with just phone service. Tonight, I'm actually going to get with Mr. Brown, and we're actually giving them radio where they can maintain contact with our dispatch center. They also will be able to maintain contact with the shift supervisor. So if they see something, a crime in progress, they can contact us directly on the radio. You know, we can get an officer up there. You know, there again, calls that they're out on a lot of times. You know, it's what delays a little bit of the response. So there again, they're our eyes and ears up here a lot of times, and they help us out a great deal. So we do appreciate them quite a bit. So with that being said, you got anything?
So
Sure.
So one of the things with what Captain Price just said, also not only with the addition of handing one of our radios over to SPA so that their officers be able to contact our dispatch center directly right away, is the question, when is the call 911? And I'd like to share with you guys just a quick story of a call that I was on actually in here right before I came off patrol and I went to my new assignment. I get to drive the new cool Challenger out there. You guys see all wrapped up that drives around. I got called to a call in here. It was a suspicious person call right around sunset when I was working the midnight shift, and it was a single lady with her couple kids in there. We got up here. We thought it was lawyer and prowling the way that it came in. We came to the house, me and 2 other deputies. We tactically, advanced in the house, talked to her, deemed that everything was fine. No one was behind the house. Problem was, during the conversation, speaking with her, I determined that the response time was 45 minutes because of the delay. And she told me, she apologized and said, I didn't know if it was an emergency. I didn't know who to call. I called my friend who called his husband, who told me to call the POA. The POA's closed. I called SPA. The SPA came out and helped, and then SPA is the one that ultimately called us. So if there's any doubt, the main thing is I wanted to ask. So I asked my direct line supervision from Captain Price all the way up to the sheriff and said, what's the best way I can address this? And every single one of them said, if there's any doubt, just call 911. As long as you're calling 911 in a non-malicious manner, and it's for good cause or concern, our highly trained dispatch operators are going to go ahead and they're going to help you out. They're going to know right away. We're going to need to get a deputy right there. We're going to direct you over to SPA. Is it a fire emergency? Is it EMS emergency? Is it animal control? They're going to be able to help you out. The main takeaway of this whole presentation that we wanted to instill upon the residents here is that A, we're here. You may not see us. Fairfield's huge. Fairfield's big. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if it was a city municipality, I think it'd be the 3rd largest in the county.
Correct.
Fairfield's really big. So we may go around driving here for 30, 45 minutes, and you may not see us because we're on this side of Lake Terra, right? And then we got to go on the other side. And we're coming in the back gate, maybe not leaving the back gate, vice versa. So we are in here and we are listening for calls. Zone 2 is one of the busiest zones in the entire county. All the north end, I-20, all the way down south, out to Mount Zion. So it's a big zone with a big area in here as well. So we are here and we are listening. But one of the biggest things is the more links that we put into that communication chain. So everybody's following me, right? The more links we put into a communication chain, the the dissemination of information and sometimes vital and critical information to responding first responders is diminished, right? And then also it adds to, it increases response time. It increases response time. That's one of the biggest things we just want to make sure. So when in doubt, just call 911. And we're able to help you guys out, and we'll do that. So with that being said, didn't know if anybody wanted to open up questions for us before we hand it over to SPA, or go from there. Anybody? You first, go ahead.
So you're on patrol, and catch somebody running stop sign or they're speeding, are you enforcing those?
No, ma'am. No, we don't have authority to do that. It's private property, and that has to do with the agreement that property owners and homeowners in here signed with the POA. So now, if anything criminal in nature, yes, we can. If we see reckless driving, if a hit and run crash, anything that deems criminal in nature, then we can proactively enforce on that. But we're not going to come in here and run speed. We're not going to come in here and run stop signs and things like that. That's why SPA's here. That's why you guys have that agreement with SPA, which is fantastic. Like Captain Price said, we work hand in hand with SPA. We work with them, they work with us. You know, so that's one of the things. So good question. You had one over here.
Yeah, so you mentioned call 911, if you think it's potentially an emergency, and you got a 3-hour spot and respond to it. So we should not be calling the spot at all.
No, you can still call SPA. I'm just saying, if you're in doubt, if it's something immediate, emergent, you know, or if it's something in between. There's a lot of people out there that will say that they don't want to call 911 because of someone that they have never seen before with a backpack on walking at midnight down the street. You know, that if you can still call 911 for that, you can still call SPA for that. You know, what I'm just saying is, if it's an emergency, best way to go, if it's a truly dire emergency, law enforcement needed, or you feel that it's something, you get that sixth sense that it's not right, you just can't err on calling 911.
Okay. I also want to give you a compliment. The series you did with Nick Off Duty, really good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's relied. We had a guy from South Florida find out about the card, and he came up and did a series with us, and he liked our agency so much that he decided to stay longer and film. It's a four episode series, and they just dropped episode 1. We got millions of views all over the world, so it's really helping us out with our recruiting efforts and also with attracting popularity with law enforcement in the community. So someone had something over here? Yes, sir.
It seems like years ago, you used to have rolling roadblocks at night for license checks. Is that still on the table for consideration?
Okay. There again, this is private property, so the traffic laws inside Fairfield parameters, unless it's like a DUI or something that's enforceable on private property, we don't do the rolling roadblocks or anything of that nature in here.
I mean,
So-
outside the gates nearby.
Right outside.
Yeah, if it's something outside the gates on a county maintained road or state highway, yes, we can do that. So, and there again, with SPA, there are private security company, so therefore they're not enforcing the criminal laws. That's what our job is inside Fairfield. We still respond to all the criminal laws, any kind of domestics, thefts, burglaries, persons, crimes, anything of that nature. We're still going to respond to. If there's a doubt, by all means, call 911. You see somebody suspicious, call 911. But if you want to call SPA, please do call. They're a whole lot closer than we are a lot of times. They'll have contact with us. They're not going to probably make contact so much as directly onto them. But if they have eyes on somebody, that is another set of eyes for us. So, yes.
Along the same lines then, please. So what's the process for if SPA pulls someone over, to they're driving a little recklessly and they suspect it's a DUI possibility? What's the process then with you guys?
They
don't have to,
yeah.
I mean, they can't hold them in reality.
They can. If the person drives off, I mean, that's on that person, and it's up to the POA to enforce anything of that nature. But if we get out here and we deem that they have violated the law and their DUI, we can actually enforce DUI inside the Fairfield, yes.
And I
If you see them driving,
Pardon me?
that's if you see them driving, correct? I mean, if they drive home and they're in the driveway and the car's off, you can't do anything at that point in time.
Typically, I'm probably not going to enforce the DUI at that point, no.
And I guess you just hit me up now on this side, sorry. So then what's the process on the lake then dealing with these guys? Because, you know, this community has grown dramatically in the last 25, 30 years.
So,
And we have lots of boaters out there, and a lot of the boaters should not be driving the boat at this point.
so the waterways are actually under DNR jurisdiction, so they can enforce the voting under the influence laws. That would be a area that SLOC can actually reach out to DNR also. Who else had that?
Oh, you mentioned about 911 and SPA.
Mhm.
Does 911 always have contact with SPA, or is this something new since it's taken place?
They've always had contact, but it's done by phone, so,
No, I understand.
you know, this way, this radio will actually be a,
So they actually couldn't contact SPA by radio.
that's correct, not tonight.
Okay.
What about the past 15 years?
No.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
First, I have a disclaimer, for my question. Mike's my son-in-law, so he gets a lot of questions from me during my family dinner.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
One of them, and I asked him this again earlier before the program started, and Mike, maybe you could expand on why people see a Carrollton Police Department car in the parking lot at the marine.
So that's a great question, Bill. A lot of people ask me that question all the time. They're like, well, is this Carrollton or Carroll County? And I thought this was Carroll County. The reason is it's in the establishment is within private property, and they hire an off-duty officer to provide off-duty security for them. If anything were to go, so if anything criminal in nature were to happen, while that officer is on their security shift there, then they contact us, we come out, and then we enforce the law, and we're able to, you know, investigate and go forward with that. One thing about that is that he is indeed an officer still, sworn law enforcement officer of the state, so he has the ability to detain them and hold them there for us to come out and take care of if they deem necessary. So
The off-cross radios with.
we do. So our 911, just so everybody knows, our 911 dispatch center, everybody inside the 911 dispatch center, they all have access to linking out to West Georgia Ambulance, all the fire rescue, Carroll County, Carrollton Fire Rescue, Fairfield Fire Rescue, and all the different law enforcement agencies to include us. So they're literally within earshot of each other if they need to, and they're constantly moving back and forth. So super high skill, high speed, highly trained men and women in there. It's like, I couldn't do it. I mean, we do some crazy stuff with law enforcement officers, but they're listening to the brunt of it. They're on the other line. They're listening to us screaming for help. They're listening for us, you know, going through stuff. So they're super high speed, and they're the ones that really can help direct anything that you guys need any questions on. So, yes.
Is SPA allowed to pull you over on a boat, car, golf cart without possible cause?
Again, that is going to be a POA. What is the agreement called again?
Well, when you sign your deed and you sign your paperwork, you're agreeing to the rules and regulations and the declaration of restrictions for Fairfield.
So did everybody hear that? So in the declaration of restrictions in Fairfield is an agreement that residents in here sign, and part of all that is intertwined with the verbiage and the legal verbiage within that binding contract. So it's
The rules, though. Yes, yeah. So,
That's my issue.
yeah. It's just, you know, and you don't know, who's making these new rules that we all of a sudden enforce. Like I got in trouble about phone and video. At the docks at the hour, he was dinner at 7:00 at night.
That's something I'd like to defer to Spa and Mr. Brown here in just a second when he comes up. I'm sure he's a little bit more apt to answer the questions pertaining to the legal language within the agreement between them.
Or I am. I'm the
okay.
attorney for the
Okay.
association.
Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to
I don't mind.
address
You have
that.
a mic.
There.
I'll just go here.
I have a loud voice, but I'm gonna use this anyway. So what he is saying is correct. It is a contract between you and the association when you buy a house in here. It's in your declaration of restrictions. which is put into your deed as a document that's incorporated. The rules and regulations are part of that document, and they are actually created by the board and voted on by the board. And if you recall, at some meetings here, they voted new regulations. SPA is the agency that is contracted with the association to enforce those rules. And so it is SPA that you will seek, but the rules are that of the board.
So what about renters?
It's they're under the same set of rules.
If they haven't signed anything?
They have by living in the association. They have to file renters agreements with us as well.
How often folks just, like they're renting, the window and all that have boats on the water for the weekend, okay?
Every boat that's in here has the same set of rules.
There's been two.
I got a guy that lives next to it, my me, every year, we do it another year, but you know the water gets thick and yellow. I'm not saying it's a problem, but.
And every single boat that gets in the water has the same set of rules and regulations as each one of you do. That's what I'm saying.
Are they paying to use the lights like we have to?
Yes, they are.
$65.
I like this piggyback off that, but these actually bring really important questions that we get daily as law enforcement officers. Is if we're in the office, someone coming in, knocking as a walk-in, and we call it out to the call. There's that two-sided street that we all play on in terms of in law enforcement. It's the criminal aspect of things, and then there's the civil side of things. So the easiest way to decipher those two is that the criminal side of things is we as law enforcement officers in Carroll County Sheriff's Office, we can enact on. The civil side of things, we defer those to civil litigation, civil court system, civil attorneys, civil due process, things like that. We can't enforce on stuff like that. We get called out to homes all the time where they're like, he's not supposed to be in here. I want him arrested, da, da, da. Can you provide paperwork? He's not supposed to be in here. No, I'm sorry, sir or ma'am, that's a civil issue. There's nothing we can do. We can't go violate this person's Fourth Amendment rights just because you don't want them in your home. You know, so that's kind of, if you kind of take that into understanding, that's where the relationship between the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and sworn law enforcement works hand in hand with SPA, and then also all the people who are inside Fairfield in terms of renters, homeowners, visitors. Is that a good way to explain that?
Yes.
So that kind of dispels, you know, like, oh, why can't you come in here and just throw those blue lights on and do this and do that? Well, we certainly can, and we will if it's criminal in nature, right? But we're also not going to step and infringe on any kind of civil things that have been put in place for contractual agreement with the POA and SPA and all of you. So it's kind of like, and that's why we're here. That's why I want to make sure that everybody has a good understanding, you know, and main thing is to me is I signed up for this job, you sign up for this job, firefighters back there sign up for this job. We just all sign up for this job to help people. We just want to make sure we can get there as quickly and as efficiently as possible to help you guys out. So that's pretty much the real gist and the nitty gritty of why we're here tonight. Anybody else? No. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. You have one more?
The cheat sheets there, man.
Okay.
I know the little cheat sheets that kind of helps you also be able to take that, the when to call and when not to call. So you might be a little helpful if you didn't get one of those, but, just wanted to share that with you.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, we've been told, I think we still support this, but we just call 911. We tell residents, there's no call spot for this, call 911.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there's.
Clarifying that we're not gonna have to put out new set of directives. It's just 911 like it's always been.
You can, yes, ma'am, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, we appreciate your time, and if there's anything else, feel free to give us a call. And hand it over to Mr. Brown.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So I hope what you're hearing right here is a continuation of 16 years with Southern Protection, providing security services inside the gate. 16 years with 66% so far speaking What we're missing right now is 33% your local fire department. These guys are with us. A lot of times when we're out on calls, we're supporting their effort. They've actually stopped and helped us. We provide them some infrastructure with some boat patrol and boat fighting material. But without the fire department, bringing it full circle, we're kind of still missing a huge percentage. So truly appreciate you guys. And if any of you guys want to speak tonight, feel free to do so. So I was asked to come in just as a little bit of an overview, when to dial 911, when not to dial 911. I got with Allison today. We made up some, necessary paperwork, cheat sheet, so to speak. That's a good way of putting it. But I think that Deputy Claypool said it the best. When in doubt, dial 911. That's just plain and simple. And I agree. The dispatchers are more than trained. So let's walk through a couple of scenarios that many of you may or may not know. No one knows 6 months ago, myself, Captain Price, Chief Deputy, one of the Chief Deputies, Craig Dotson, we're all in a controlled conversation discussing Fairfield Plantation. No one's aware a year ago, I'm with Craig Dotson discussing Fairfield operations. No one's aware 2 years ago that we're supplying a new boat for the boat patrol. No one's aware that we're doing this, that, or the other. So, and I can appreciate that you don't know that we're doing it, but I can tell you between Carroll County Sheriff's Office and my team that we deploy here in conjunction with your local fire department, I promise you, you're getting everything we got. These are guys that are doing a hard job. Being spread thin is a good word to say it. And you never think about the blue lights until we turn them on, but it is what it is. If we have an individual problem, and I've heard some tonight, I'm the owner of the company. I run 13 states, so I'm not going to know your individual issue. If you will stay after the meeting, I will be more than happy to take your individual information, find out exactly what happened, and get you an answer. Because I'm always the guy that's going to tell you you can't park somewhere or you can't do something. But when you ask me a question, you may not like the answer, but I'm going to make sure you get an answer. So if you'll just stick around, I'll be more than happy to take care of you individually. As a group, I just wanted to make sure that everybody is understanding, we wanted to come here tonight. We wanted to show you that you are getting a complete turnkey service, both on the gates as in patrol, and then when necessary, bringing in local law enforcement, providing them necessary information. A lot of times deputies come to us, they're conducting some type of investigation. We're going to give them whatever they need. That's just plain and simple. Through contractual requirements and legal deeds and things of that nature, yes, we are the agent that enforces the rules that your board has put in place. But my name's John. I'm not a-hole, I promise. My name's John. And all we got to do is sit on the side of the road or sit at the clubhouse and we'll talk about it. And I'm sure we can come to a good understanding as to what we're trying to accomplish here. Fairfield's continuously celebrates 11% of what goes on outside the gates. That's a pretty good quality of life for West Georgia, to be honest with you. 11% of what goes on outside the gates. So anything that we can do to make it better, we're obviously all on board with that. But all we're trying to do is maintain your community, try to watch out for your children, try to make sure that you're able to go down the road safely, and provide an atmosphere that you can enjoy. So I hope that that's the way that it's coming across. If there's an individual issue that we need to discuss, I'll be more than happy to do that. Outside of the bulletin that we kind of created of when to dial and when not to dial, when in doubt, dial 911. That's probably the best way to go. Traditionally, if it involves life, limb, or property, you need to be dialing 911. Plain and simple. Life, limb, or property. Dial 911. That is suspicious person. That is feeling ill. That is a robbery, that is a house alarm, that is someone driving reckless down your road, someone running you off the road, someone passing a school bus illegally. That is all 911. We are the observe and report atmosphere. So we conduct traffic violations and traffic monitoring in the property. But we're more of a observe and provide information, feedback to the board and things of that nature. A lot of times we're the locker and unlocker of the pool and the rec center and things of that nature. So outside of that, I'll take any individual questions from me. Outside of an individual issue that we can talk about later. Yes, ma'am.
So we have the 5-mile walking trail that's gonna open up off of Lost Ferry, that's supposedly, you're gonna be able to access from here.
I have no clue.
Oh, man.
Sounds like a beautiful trail.
So the Carroll County Parks and Recreation Department is opening a new park that's gonna be a passive park. Its main entrance is off Moss Ferry. You can kind of see it if you go down. It's got the monument sign started, but not the sign hanging yet. It is not open yet. We do have tentative plans at this point to try to create a parking lot on this side of the gate where we might have access, but we have not figured out the details on how to do that because we'd like it to be somewhat secure and with access cards and that kind of thing. If not, you will have to go outside, go to the Moss Ferry Park area and park and then go in.
That's not the concern. The concern is outsiders coming in.
And again, we're still tentative on how to handle that right now. We're looking into the best way to do that, but that property does have a small section that backs directly up to Fairfield. Does that answer your question?
Well, at least, you're thinking about how to protect it.
We are. The board has been discussing it for about, 6 months at least. And the county has been working with us on that. The Parks and Recreation Department has been very helpful.
So how big of an area joins backs up to us? Do you know how?
I don't remember how many linear feet, if that's what you're asking, but the park itself is about 200 acres, I think. And it's gonna have about 5 miles of walking trails in it right now.
So you have no idea how much of that?
I don't remember how many linear feet it is. It's not a huge area that backs up to us, but it's a couple of cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, we walked it and it's probably 200-300 feet, wide on that, but obviously it goes acres into it, so.
Right.
It's along that, there's a third of an acre or so, less than a third of an acre that we own that backs up to that, and that's what we're looking at is the parking. So it's about probably 200 feet. The touch of it.
We haven't decided how best to secure that area. I know how we're gonna handle it yet.
Because that's gonna be ready then, I wonder,
So the county is saying perhaps this fall, but as you can see, it's not open yet. And I know they do not have an exact date to open the park. Yes.
Man, can you address, I've heard different comments around the community. Can you address responsibility of visitors in the community, specifically they're going to the arena, clubhouse, play golf? What's the responsibility?
So specifically, if you are coming in the gates and you're going to the marina owner or tenant, I should say, the marina tenant has to call you in. You cannot roll up to the gates any longer and say, and this has been the case for years already, you cannot roll up to the gates and say, I'm going to the marina or I'm going to the country club. You have to be on a list that the country club or the marina tenant gives to the front gate. The same with the golf. You have to be on a list saying that you're playing golf in here in order to be able to come in. You cannot just say, I'm going to the golf course to play. Yes.
Yeah, I've observed over probably the past year or so of a lot of foot traffic coming in the front gate away from the guard shaft, if you will. So my concern is that if you had that park, then what's going to keep people from just foot traffic?
That's how we are discussing how best to secure it. We
Okay.
know that's an issue. In terms of the front gate and foot traffic, we actively have the sheriff's department arrest people, and we had someone just the other day.
But what I'm saying, is there a way to funnel the people to the gate, to the main gatehouse, maybe with a fence or something? Because people are walking over a couple hundred feet into the.
A lot of those people walking down through there are actually residents.
Right, and I understand that, but still to come in, shouldn't they?
They're supposed to be going through the gate when they're entering back.
I know
into
they're
the
supposed to
property.
be, but how can we enforce that?
And that would be, the gate guard's responsibility.
Yeah, we're enforcing it through SPA. As I said, we actually had someone, last week that was noticed to have gone in that way. SPA noticed it. They called the sheriff's office and the sheriff's office
And I'm
waited
sure
on
a
them to
lot
be
of-
arrested.
I'm sure a lot of them are residents, but what I'm saying, as it is right now, there's no way to funnel them in to, because I'm familiar with some other POAs and HOAs, and what they've done is they have nice fencing, but what they do where a person would really have to make a great effort to climb over a fence, but that way it pushes them toward there.
Well, it sounds like your answer is we'd have to put up fences, and I know that the board has not yet discussed fences at the front gate.
There's so many entry points, we couldn't afford to put fences all the way around.
Yeah, but I've not seen anybody coming in foot traffic, but through the front gate, not in the back gate. I've never observed any.
If it's through the front gate, the SPA officers at the gate are supposed to notice that and be handling it, and we do know that that has happened. It may not happen every time, but it has happened.
But the trail where they walk in is 50 yards away.
That's
from the
my
gate.
fault.
It's over to the right, there's a line of trees.
It's an old
And
drive.
and again, it sounds like the only solution that you guys are suggesting is
Yeah.
fencing, and that's not been discussed by the board yet.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's an old path, or it's actually a paved area that was no longer used. That's where they're coming in. So the gate guard can't really see them very well.
Especially at night.
Yeah, that's that is still. That's still being used by Carroll EMC. There's some large transformers back there, and so that's an easement and an access road for them. But as far as putting lights back there, that may be something we can look at so that they can see them better down
Right,
there. Hand that back to John.
The gentleman in the back had his hand up a while ago. Go ahead.
I'm not taking things. Appreciate his time. Really appreciate that. Trying to raise working that.
Captain Price has been around for many years.
Good, and that's the end.
Right.
My question is the stop, becomes stop sign to the violent stop sign. When it comes to speed limits, you should agree on. What guidance are you guys given to follow enforcement?
As far as, are you speaking more in a training sense, or what guidelines as far as who do we write a ticket, who do we not write a ticket?
Railroad station, there was 550 people on site.
That does not pertain to us. That's what, we're private property.
That's the issue. Maybe some stop sign. Four states, 7 foot of on stop sign, and 21 about 30.
That doesn't pertain to us because we tried to regulate the roads. Everybody remember when Billerica wanted to annex us a few years back? That's one of the biggest things that they ran into right off the bat, roads. Millions of dollars to bring them up to code, and Billerica said, never mind, y'all be careful. So that just wouldn't work. So. Sure.
When we leave these gates, there's no doubt in my mind, the top of the greatest speed that I have. Yeah, I see, not a lot about.
Sure.
On a stop sign? Sure, got it. Here, twice, that's my wife, that's me, figure out the Monticello and. Monticello, right after the dam. Swallow loves to sit up back up in. Now, I'll sit and I'll stop the post office. And then I go, which is happening to me and my wife.
They probably couldn't see you stop.
Okay, so you did see, and that's where the issue comes with Carroll County. So if you guys have the checkpoint, just fix my drinking and drive off, it's a gray area for Carroll County to try to enforce that. They would see that individual down the road lines. So my issue with SPA is you guys are implementing basically your own rule. And I'm all about, you don't check my speed, if I got, I got a kid, I was off over you right down here. People treat us like that. I wish 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody sit at that doorway and watch how many people smoke that.
Which intersection is that?
They be in top.
At the, okay, you talking about at the top of the hill? Right,
You can probably between Paul Pine and Lakeview on Monticello coming this way. That's
okay.
the speedway.
So if you speak of smoking, then you got guys who are doing 90 miles an hour, 12 o'clock midnight, it's wild hard. So it's not saying, it's almost like you can pick and choose.
Sure.
That's my issue with stop. You have stop signs for this phone, and stop sign. That's all.
Well, we don't have anything to do with the stop signs, but I can appreciate what you're saying. Sure. Right.
Now, I know that, 35 and 30 mile an hour zone, you come. What's the trigger? I got them. I really have an issue when they want to talk about the road. They shoot radar coming out that way. Anywhere else outside of the same road, we stand a chance.
Right.
But you guys are, you're contractual. So I appreciate all you doing from the neighborhood bringing the boat, but you're being paid.
Sure.
You're under a contract. So it's not like tell us to make us feel good. You're under a contract.
Sure.
We're paying you. So let's try to do things fair and try to do things right.
I would like to take a look at that area that you're talking about. Because, so, I can get with Chief Walker and we can find out, exactly what you're talking about.
So just so everybody knows, if FA issues a citation, Dakota sends something in the mail. You have some directions on there about appealing it to the community patrol committee. Okay, that's on the roads. Different, maybe a different procedure, maybe handled differently with less names.
I was gonna suggest that's definitely.
To issue an appeal, you can do it one of two ways. You can do it via email, or you can, and send it to Dakota and tell them you'd like to come speak to the committee in person. And then we sit and listen to everybody. We're a group of about 8 people, 7, 8 people, who are all gonna listen. What you said would make sense. We hear that and go, okay, if that's really a thing, we're gonna get everything from body cam to the officer's report to your appeal. We want to represent to our committee, and it looks like that really happened, and a lot of times people in the committee say that happened. That's gonna be a, maybe within, maybe there is some kind of thing you want to look at, so you're not on that, because, more out of time.
Especially if you got that scenario with the stop signs, I would definitely bring that up.
So they're gonna listen, and they don't always agree with us, they're gonna take the, our recommendation, they hear something different, they didn't experience. So use that appeal process for all of this. Because that does, you said we are paying you, yeah, well, we're you, so we can hear you too.
No, I'm not. But what I'm getting at is when we make the appeal, we're making the appeal to the board, we sign the board, that we agree. Now, there's a reason why the state board has adopted for radar sign. There's a reason why the state board has adopted for the stop sign. Now, if I appeal to the board and say, hey, this guy is something top the hill. As soon as I pop the hill, he's 150 feet away. Now, the radar manufacturer says it's active about 100 feet. And that pretty much takes small game to shoot radar out of the stuff. So how can we come to the, because it becomes a little bit of a, downright to it, the manufacturer says it's only active 500 feet plus. The guy shooting radar at 200 feet. He's right.
And I think this could be a board question, because the board and SPOTS contract with each other and say that the way they're doing things are.
Well, and we can just get a ruling from, we use the same, company that they use as far as tuning their devices. So we can obviously get a spec from him as far as, I don't believe distance means anything, as far as your reading.
I know what state law is out on roadways out on County Road. You guys, we have, we know about 500 feet. That's- I'm not-
Also remember,
They're getting this private
they
property.
also have county roads that are to a different code as well. They don't have 6 feet wide lanes like we do.
That code has to be adopted.
Sure. But I'm not gonna speak for the manufacturer of the product, but I don't believe your distance from the unit is going to change your speed. I've sped through construction zones, just being transparent and honest, and it'll tag me at like 63 and a 55, and it's reading my speed all the way up to the sign, and I know I'm at 100 feet. So if that sign's doing it, surely our unit can do it.
So as a board member.
Sure.
I think this is a great topic, and this is why we have it. Yeah.
Sure.
I know.
And, but if there's something unique about that particular situation, I'll be more than happy to take a look
And
at it.
Allison actually was just recently, we just went through and put together signage. We're looking at all the height, because we did have a lot of height signage. So she just gave the maintenance, here's the code for the heights for stop signs, et cetera, et cetera. So we do look at those kind of things, but I think this is a great topic, so I thank you for bringing that up.
No,
It's
it's fine.
an active project we're working on to get all of those back up to where they need to be.
I mean, we went around for years with a bottle of cleaner wiping the stop signs off. Because some of the stop signs were getting, molded and things like that. That's just, trying to do our best to, to take care of the community. And I know that there's budgets to replace some of those signage and things like that. So, there was several other questions came up simultaneously, but yes.
Is the spa office manned 24 hours a day, other than the gates, the office man?
So are you referring to our corporate office?
No, you're in labor.
No, sir. No, sir. But the number you dial doesn't go to the office, it goes to the gate, and that is manned 24/7. Yes, sir.
But if there's a problem, they can't leave the gate.
They can't leave, but they'll just contact the patrol officer.
That we do have patrol 24/7.
Okay.
And the patrolman's on, yes.
They're not sitting.
And at nighttime, our duties as far as, securing locations and checking locations, other than, doing perimeter patrol checks and things like that, dramatically reduces, so we can usually respond pretty quick. Yes,
Am I allowed to change the subject a little?
sure.
Okay.
Pecan pie?
Huh?
I thought we were talking about eating, I'm sorry.
Okay. Talking about spa and some of the things they do. My daughter's friend came by to visit her. She doesn't appear she lives in Marietta. She came to visit her. Parked down on the grass at the bottom of the hill, setting the hill. I came by and gave her a ticket. That ticket was $100. I received it on August 8th.
You received it what?
On August 8th. It was due on the 20th. Because I know how you guys function, I went and paid it. It's still pending on that letter, on that appeal. Now, I did ask for the fees for certain things. Unfortunately for me, I live across the Spencers, which you all have seen if you look at the Facebook page. You have seen the fire when the half of her porch fell off.
You looked at what?
Well, no. Well, it's affecting me up to that point. And then when her child got with another kid and the weapon went off, the kid came to my house with a graze wound. Okay. The thing is, you're charging $100 to park on the grass. Do you know how much it's supposed to charge a weapon in Fairfield? $100.
I don't know what incident you're talking about.
That's it. The second time, no, ma'am, I am speaking in this time. You're gonna give me this time because I've had enough. Okay, the second time, it's $500. Okay, it is ridiculous that somebody who doesn't know can park on the grass and you charge $100. But that kid who is actually a criminal is getting away with paying $100 for discharging a weapon in him.
So
That is ridiculous.
it's two different things, and this was the incorrect person to talk to. This was why I took the microphone. He's not in charge of the rules and regulations. Again, that's a board issue. The board is not going to talk about individual cases in here. I happen to know that one had spa involvement
Well, nobody said anything about it.
and sheriff's office involvement. So both agencies responded to that call.
But nothing is done by you guys. Nothing happens by you guys.
Again, we cannot talk about individual property owners in this setting. We cannot do it for privacy reasons.
Man.
That is correct.
So that is going hopefully to be changed. No, that is ridiculous. I thought, how can it be possible that you pay to say, the parking, and I've been looking for some parking on the grass, have somebody with a started a weapon in here.
And
That is
again, we
ridiculous.
cannot talk about individual
I just think
issues,
it's
but
this time.
SPA doesn't do the citations. The actual fines are set by the board. And that particular incident had a criminal aspect to it, and so the sheriff's office did respond.
Yes, but that is affecting my house.
I
That is
understand, ma'am.
affecting my household. The next
I
time
understand,
we find
ma'am.
out because some judge changed his mind, he could be shooting in the direction of my house.
I understand, ma'am, but that's a Superior Court of Carroll County issue as well. And there's nothing that anyone in this room, including the sheriff's deputies, can do about that.
I'm aware of.
If SPA stops someone on the street, let's say for speeding, they suspect that they're under the influence of alcohol, what is the protocol?
So generally we'll, call and detain. So I can come up with about 27 different things to talk to you about, because obviously you're a veteran and, I'm a veteran. And while we're talking about that, you don't know it, but I've already got a deputy on the way. Then when the deputy gets there, then of course he'll detain you based on the odor alcohol, and he'll conduct whatever traffic stop or direction he wants to do.
So the SPA has the authority to detain you?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And if you flee or take off, like someone indicated
Yeah.
earlier, of course, there's just additional charges from that. But I'm not gonna charge an officer with chasing someone through a property. We're not gonna allow things to escalate to that level. We're gonna let the professionals do their professional job while we observe and report. Here's the key. Here's what you need to remember what happened tonight. Something that she has fought for, something that I have fought for, something that previous board members have fought for. Guys, surely y'all can appreciate the fact, what is 911? A house alone. I mean, you know, we all know that 99% of them are false. There's gonna be that time that it is not false. And now I've got a security officer that's in a fight or flight situation with a burglar coming out of your house. And God forbid, you're a typical veteran, you might have a gun or two, and now the burglar's got a gun too. We don't. So, you know, so we don't want to put that officer in that situation. So now having radio communications, if they require us to, you know, to potentially get in the area, observe and report, keep updating to get the responding personnel, we can do that. And I really think that this radio and the communication shared between the responding personnel is gonna be a huge asset. Something that Chief Walker and I go back. Somebody told me today that you have employee ID number 31.
31.
Holy cow. Anyway, we're at like employee ID number 28 something, but 2800. But anyway, don't forget years ago, up until about 10 years ago, everybody was on the lower band units. We had repeaters out here, so we could talk. We lost that capability when they came in with the 900 series. And these radios are so expensive, guys. These radios are thousands of dollars. So Sheriff Langley gave us a radio. That is $6,000. I can tell you right now, I got dozens and dozens of gated communities from Baltimore, Maryland to Key West, Florida. And I can tell you now, there's no other sheriff that has given us a radio like that. I'm gonna tell you right now, yeah, individual incidences aside, you're getting everything they got. I promise you. I've talked to them. I've met with them. I know half of them, and I'm telling you, you're getting a great line of service across the board that just doesn't always shine through. I get it. I understand it, but all in all, you're getting their best effort, I promise. Yes.
John, do you want
Sure, while I have you stop, I'm conducting my own investigation. And that may take 3 minutes, that may take 27,
And you're also being recorded the whole time.
and you're recorded the whole time. Sure.
You're being recorded the whole time.
I'm sorry. No, we did not have a arrest file. But just like any other citizen in the state of Georgia, just like you, if I witness a crime, I have every right to effect an arrest. Did you know that? No.
John, do you want to take one more question? Because we're
One more
running.
question. Yes, sir. You've been quiet the whole time. I'm gonna let you speak.
How many tickets has filed for the late to go actually given out this year? 'Cause I have
Lord, how much?
one where they are going 10 feet from the end of my dock. It's a narrow part of the lake.
Sure,
That's good. Help with that,
sure.
and I'm not ready to.
Okay, so to answer the initial question, how many tickets have they written on the lake? Sir, I have no idea, none. However, I will make sure that you know exactly, because let me tell you, I share with you, I actually live on a lake myself. The state of Alabama implemented a new law this year that contained all kinds of numbers that sounded all kinds of great. And I've still got $4,000 worth of damage done to my dock this year already. So, I share with you with that. I also know one of the major rules that we challenged with all the time is 75 feet and 75 feet and this, that, and this, that. You know, nobody's sitting out there with a rangefinder on July 22nd at 2:30 PM. I think what we need to do is have a consistency in the officers. And we need to have a good understanding of what the rules are. And then there's a meet with you individually, sharing what your story is, and then something that they can observe and report what they're seeing, and individually either deal with it in a citation or a notification or whatever.
I've seen your own routes.
So we're the ones doing it.
You're one, they're one.
Okay. So then I definitely want to talk to you after the meeting so we can find out.
I also don't know the number off the top of my head, but I can tell you it's published every month. We send it out in the newsletter, and it's also on the website, and it's in an email blast. How many citations for the month?
Well, I don't know. It's not broken down by like.
It's not broken down, I don't think, by type. No, just the number of citations. And
Hey,
that's,
Can I ask one other thing real quick though about the lake? Also, don't forget about the lake. I get this all, I speak loud, trust me.
I know.
So don't forget, one other thing about the lake, we get this all the time. Why didn't they stop me? Folks, I've paid about $22,000 in damage between my boat pulling up next to your boat and scratching your boat. So we just stopped doing it. We're not doing that no more. You know, a wakeboard boat goes by and now we're both sitting here banging against each other. We're gonna observe the incident. We're gonna try to stop it. We're gonna note your 4-digit number on the back, and you'll get a citation in the mail. It's up to the officer's discretion whether they do a citation or a warning or whatever. That just all depends on the encounter, and it's up to the officer's discretion.
Okay, that's all we have time for right now, so I was gonna try to wrap it up at 7:03. Our next meeting starts in about 30 minutes, and we're gonna sort of rearrange the room a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.